The rain came down in sheets, the kind that erased the edges of the world and turned headlights into trembling halos. If you're here right now, don't blink to stay with this moment, because what begins in this rain will follow you long after the screen goes dark. And if stories about quiet kindness, second chances, and lives colliding when they least expect it mean something to you, tap like and subscribe, because this is one you'll want to remember. Ethan Carter had learned how to move fast in storms. He had to. When you're a single dad with a 6-year-old asleep at home and a job that barely keeps the lights on, you don't linger. You fix what you can, carry what you must, and keep going. That night, his jacket was too thin, his boots soaked, and his mind crowded with the same worries that followed him everywhere he went to in 5 days. The school note he hadn't signed yet. The promise he'd made to his daughter Lily that he'd be home before she woke up from her bad dream. Then he saw her. She stood on the shoulder of the road, rain plastering her dark hair to her face. One hand braced on the hood of a stalled sedan, the other clutching her phone like it might float away. Her posture was straight despite the storm, disciplined in a way that didn't belong to stranded motorists. Ethan slowed without thinking. He told himself he couldn't stop. He told himself it was dangerous. He told himself Lily was waiting. And then he pulled over anyway. She turned when she heard his engine cut, eyes sharp even through exhaustion. "You don't have to," she called over the rain, voice steady, almost apologetic. "I've already called roadside." Ethan popped the hood latch of his old pickup and jogged back, rain soaking him to the bone. "I know," he said, "but storms like this don't care about schedules." They worked in silence at first. He handed her a flashlight. She held it like she'd been trained to a firm grip, precise angle. He noticed the dog tags tucked beneath her collar when the wind lifted her jacket. Not flashy, worn, the kind you forget you're wearing because they've been there through too much. "Batteries flooded," he said finally. "We can dry the contacts and jump it. Might hold." She nodded. "If it doesn't, I can push it to the gas station down the road." In this, he glanced at the rain. Not happening. She almost smiled at that. When the engine finally coughed back to life, she let out a breath that sounded like relief and something else, yes, something heavier. "Thank you," she said. "I'm Mara." Ethan. They didn't exchange numbers. They didn't promise coffee. The rain eased just enough for the world to come back into focus, and then they went their separate ways. Ethan drove home with wet socks and a strange warmth in his chest, the kind you get when you do the right thing even when it costs you. Weeks passed. Life did what it always did, it pressed. Lily caught a cold. The heater broke. Ethan picked up extra shifts and learned how to stretch soup into 3 meals. He told Lily stories at night about brave knights and kind strangers, and she listened with the seriousness only children have when they believe the world can be good if you're careful with it. Mara thought about the man in the rain more than she expected. She was used to standing alone. Years in uniform had taught her to compartmentalize, to push through pain, to accept help only when ordered. But his quiet insistence, the way he'd treated her like a human first and a problem second, had slipped past her defenses. She was home now. Technically, the uniform was folded away, but the war didn't care about closets. It followed her into sleep, into grocery stores, into the mirror when she didn't recognize the woman staring back. The knock came on a Tuesday evening. Soft but deliberate. Mara froze. Her heart raced before her mind caught up. She checked the peephole and saw a woman from the VA clinic, a folder tucked under her arm, rain dripping from her coat. Mara opened the door with hands that trembled despite herself. "We've been trying to reach you," the woman said gently. "There's been a review, new funding. We can move you up to the list." Mara sat on the edge of her couch as the words settled. Housing assistance, counseling covered, a path forward that didn't feel like a cliff. She nodded, and when the door closed, she created not the sharp, breaking kind, but the slow, shaking release of someone who has been holding on too long. Across town, another knock echoed through a small apartment. Ethan wiped his hands on a towel and opened the door to find Lily's teacher standing there, smiling in a way that meant both trouble and hope. "We're doing a community recognition," she said, "for acts of kindness. Someone nominated you." Ethan laughed, embarrassed. "There must be a mistake." "There isn't," she said. "Your daughter talks about you like you're the bravest person she knows." The ceremony was small. Folding chairs, weak coffee, a banner taped crookedly to the wall. Ethan almost didn't go, but Lily insisted, wearing her favorite yellow dress, gripping his hand like he might disappear. When they called his name, he stood, heart pounding, and felt the weight of eyes on him. That's when he saw her. Barbara sat near the back, posture straight, eyes soft. She met his gaze and nodded once, a silent thank you that carried more than words. Afterward, they stood awkwardly near the exit, rain tapping the windows like a memory. I heard a knock, Barbara said finally. It changed my life. Ethan smiled. Funny, me too. They didn't pretend everything was fixed. They didn't rush. They talked about therapy and bedtime stories and fear that sneaks up when you think you're safe. They talked about storms. They talked about rain. Months later, Lily fell asleep on the couch between them, warm and trusting. The world outside was loud and uncertain, but inside that small room, something solid was growing, built not on grand gestures, but on stopping when you can, helping when it's hard, and answering the door even when you're afraid of what might be waiting. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that small choices matter and kindness can echo farther than we ever know, show it some love. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with USA, because sometimes the knock that changes a life is the one you never expected, and the story that stays with you is the one you chose not to scroll past.